I'm exhausted. And probably you are too. Last year was one Trump headline after another. But hang on, his presidency is not all doom and gloom. Here are 5 positive things that have come out of 1 year of President Trump.
Pussies grab back!
President Trump isn't exactly known as an advocate for women's rights.
She's a slob. She talks like a truck driver.
Does she have a good body? No.
Of course.
Does she have a fat ass? Absolutely.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the
Here's what Trump managed to do to women in just 1 year. He undermined women's access to birth control, proposed millions in cuts to teen pregnancy prevention, and made it harder to fight for fair wages and a safe workplace. But women aren't having it. One day after Trump's inauguration, they brought around 5 million people into the streets across the United States to promote women's rights. It was the largest single day of protest in US history. And since Trump took office, women have been getting more political. Emerge America, a group that trains Democratic women to run for office, has seen an 87% increase in applications. Plus, Trump may have tried to cut public funding from Planned Parenthood, but since the election, the NGO has received 400,000 private donations to continue providing women with healthcare. Trump has called global warming a hoax. He's boosted coal, approved controversial pipelines, and drilling on federal land. And, most notably, he announced his intention to take the US out of the historic Paris Climate Agreement. But people around the world are pushing back, big time. In the US, countless states, cities, businesses, and citizens have banded together. They've pledged to uphold the Paris Agreement, even if Trump won't. And the world is doubling down on climate protection. Since Trump's announcement, 25 more countries ratified the treaty, further strengthening the world's commitment. Trump's #1 enemy? Us, the news media, which he has been bashing since he's announced his run for president.
The media is really the word, I think one of the greatest of all terms I've come up with is fake.
Trump has even suggested that he'd like to open up the country's libel laws to make it easier to sue journalists for defamation. But somehow, Trump actually managed to help the journalism industry with his behavior. Now, newspaper subscriptions are on the rise. The failing New York Times, as Trump calls it, gained more than 130,000 new subscriptions in just 3 weeks after the election. When Trump slammed Vanity Fair in a tweet, the magazine subscription soared 100-fold, a single-day company record. So Trump may actually save America's journalism industry. Trump has been tweeting a range of insults at Kim Jong-un, seemingly bringing the US and North Korea closer to a nuclear conflict. Even the Pope has warned about the danger of a nuclear war. But this whole debacle has had its positive side effect. It has brought North and South Korea closer together. Turns out, the two enemy nations are suddenly talking again. And not just that, they're discussing sending a joint women's ice hockey team to the Winter Olympics and having athletes from both countries march together during the opening. Of course, Trump is taking credit for this development.
If I weren't involved, they wouldn't be talking about Olympics right now.
That only leaves one problem: the continuing animosity between the US and North Korea.
Ours is not a shithole country, neither is Haiti.
Trump seems to take pride in insulting people. But sometimes that has a positive side effect too. Remember Trump's shithole countries comment? It was referring to countries like Haiti, El Salvador, and unspecified African nations. His comment was widely condemned as racist and divisive. But the good news is, it actually brought people from these countries together to speak up and show pride on social media. There's no denying that as the President of the United States, Donald Trump has a lot of power over the political agenda. But here's the silver lining. In the past year, millions of people have snapped into action. So despite Trump, or maybe because of him, people have already created real change. What's in store for the rest of his term?